did is he took his hands off and gave them over to their lustful desires. And it started that men would be with men, and all the other sort of stuff would start coming into the life, because what happens is they start to believe a lie for a truth. And so we need to be very conscious that we don't get involved with that. In our houses, we need to maybe take some action of some things in our houses that we need to clean out, that it doesn't affect your life and your family's life. I believe, over the years I've been in many houses, and even as pastor and elder and so on, and I've seen a lot of things, and I've heard a lot of this. Nothing can shock me. You could come and tell me you're the most serial killer and the most pedophile. I've talked with people like that. You just cannot shock me. But I tell you, I see things in houses, I see things in people's lives as Christians that really shouldn't be there. There are magazines in people's houses that shouldn't be there. There's videos in the houses that really you should not have. There are channels in your houses that you need to get rid of on your Foxtel. There are things like that are in people's houses that we need to get rid of. People say, there's these masks and things like that overseas, and we've got all these on the houses, but they're just souvenirs of our trip. That's fine, but you need to understand it's only a piece of wood. It's only a mask, it's only whatever. That's not the big deal. But it's what that thing represents. Was it a God that they created, that it was the God of fire or God of whatever, or have they prayed something over that to make it sell and to do this and whatever else? The elephant trunks upwards means it's good luck, downwards bad luck, got to meet this way, all that sort of stuff. We need to be being aware of what we do have, and sometimes it's good to just clear some of that stuff out. But God will teach you and show you the things that you need to do to ensure that everything's right. I see Christians going around and they do horoscopes, looking up the newspaper and seeing your stars. And they read the stars. The Bible's very clear that we should not get involved in astrology in that way or anything, reading the stars, because again, you can go through and you can say, today you're going to have a good day and you're going to meet this person or whatever. And next minute you're starting to look for that thing. And what happens, these forces start happening in your life. You need to keep away from the stars. If you are involved in reading horoscopes, you need to repent from that, because it's not of God. People get involved with gambling. People get involved with lotto. How many Christians are involved with lotto amazes me. It's either you trust Jesus Christ or you trust the world for your finance. Either he's God, Jehovah Jireh, that will meet everything you have, or you're going to believe in the world and look for millions. Because I tell you what, I know more people have spent so much more money. If they put it in the bank and it rolled over, they'd be a lot more wealthy than they did to put it in the lotto every week. $30 a week. Come on. Scratchies, there's scratchies. Scratchies are good, but they're only fun. I only just spend $5, it's okay. But it's what attaches to that is the thing. Why do you do it? Because you want to try to get some more. Is that a form of greed? I don't know. But what we need to do is be careful. Last night we were looking at the Discovery Channel, the Knowledge Channel again, and there was a whole story on casinos in Las Vegas. And this one lady sits in there. She says every day she's there, and she said she plays the pokies, the things. And she said the husband died, and they said, this is how much we love her, and this is how much we are family here. We threw her husband the great memorial service when he died here, and everything like that. And she says, yes, it was the best I've ever had in my life. And the bloke from BBC turned around and said, yes, how much have you lost in this place, ma'am? She said, I've lost $4 million over the 7 years. And you turned to him and said, well, do you think that deserves a funeral, does it? And so all this stuff happens. But she's one of our best clients here. Of course she is, because she just wastes money every day here. And these guys saying that my job is to get people in and keep them here as long as possible, the high rollers. My nephew, he goes around and he does all the pokey stuff to actually do all the computers for Wang around Australia. And he went into the casino in the city here. I had a friend who worked in Armaguard. He cleared out Armaguard on Friday night, and then by the time he went through the Monday, he put over $3 million through that machine a weekend. My nephew in the high rollers bar had to go up and do some stuff and fix some electronic machine stuff and that. He was up there and he was at the whole high rollers club, which is the high rollers. And there was a lady there, and she had a roll of $250,000 chips. $250,000 chips. And she lost one. Gone. He goes, there's my house. 4 in a row, she lost $1 million like that, 4 hands straight. And you know what she did? Put a hand like that. The guy behind gave her another lot, and she started going again. He left that section. He said, I can't handle this. It's not right. He went and talked to one of the managers. He said, how can that happen? How can that happen like that when there are so many people hurting and different things in the world? She can lose $1 million in 4 hands. She said, you got to understand, she's so wealthy that if she went downstairs and she won $1,000 or $2,000, it's like you winning 1 cent. So they get to that much rich that they've got to lose a lot or they've got to win a lot to actually get excited. So they'd put $1 million on it, and if they win $3 million, they're excited. But if they put $1,000 on it and they win $100, that mean nothing to them. So that's why they've got to keep them in that realm. It just lost a reality. And we need to be people that keep reality. Keep it right. See, the bloke said, you can't walk away. You know, the whole thing last night, there were these guys who started coming in and said, oh, we just bring in what we can afford to lose. That was his words. And he said, I still got my house when I get home. He walked away with over $70,000 lost one weekend. And they said, oh, he's one of our good clients. They give him a limo back to the airport. Wouldn't you? I mean, it's just horrible what happens out there. And we need to be people that are very astute with our money and make sure it's right and do the ways that God wants us to do. Because you get sucked into that stuff because it's the thing of winning or and people say, oh no, look, I just taken $20 and I'm only doing it for fun. That's all, just for fun, just $20, win or lose, doesn't matter. Well, I haven't seen anyone that wins $1,000 from their $20 and gone up to the cashier and say, here, you keep the $1,000 and thanks for the fun. Yeah. I haven't. I like to see it if it's just for fun. But we go there in case we win. God doesn't need that stuff in our lives. He's our provider. There's a movie called it's a book called The History of Religion, and Rob Bell speaks about it in one of his things called The God's Own Angry. And we read just then about don't sacrifice your children and so forth in the ways of the pagans. Well, he was talking about the history of religion, and he was going through how over the years, they didn't know about God, these ancient tribes, and what happened is they saw this rain come from the ground, and it made their crops grow, and that, so they thought there's a rain god, and then they would go out and they'd see the sun, and the sun would bleach things, and they'd think, oh, well, we've got to appease that god so it doesn't burn up too much, and then the husband or the bloke would go out and hunt, and it might take a day one day, but other days it might just take one hour. So they'd appease this god to give them a good hunt, this hunting god, and they'd have all these gods. You see, to India, there's gods everywhere for everything, and they'll accept Jesus Christ because they'll just add it to a god. But once they get baptized, which we heard from the other thing, that's when it's different. And so they're saying that they get to a point that back there that they would go through and they'd appease the god, but then they'd say, next year, if they get a crop that's better than last year, well, they've got to give more than last year, you see. And it got to a point that they're saying that what happened is that they said, well, what can we give? We'll give the closest thing to us to appease this God, which is our children. And they started sacrificing children. And it's in history that they sacrificed children. And in Genesis, it says that Abraham was pulled out. I think it's about chapter 12 or so. He said that he was pulled out of his old town of Haran, his country, which is a pagan country. And he said he was brought out, and God gave him a word that said that your ancestors will have this land of Canaan and you'll have offspring. And then he says to him to go and sacrifice your child. Now, Abraham, coming from a pagan country, might have even seen this sort of stuff. But anyway, he goes and he starts to do what he has to do. But he knew that the promise of God was there, that if he killed his son, he would have to raise him from the dead again, because the promise was in that seed and the promise. And he went up there and he did what he was going to do. And as he was about to kill him, God says, stop. And prepared a way out. And the reason being is because he said to him, because you did not withhold your very best, I will not withhold mine. And he gave his son Jesus Christ. It was a shadow of Christ. It was what was happening. It was about what Jesus Christ was going to come.